Today's fabricated fitting is going to be an 8x10 to 8x6 drop cheek 90-degree elbow. First, I'm going to draw or sketch or scribe a 1-inch working line. And a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the sheet, I make my first mark. Then I will put 8 inches, that's the dimension of the cheek. And then the throat dimension. Therefore, A to B is 8 inches, and A to C is your chosen throat radius. From C to B, strike an arc over 90 degrees. And then set your dividers to C to A. Do the same thing. While you're there, add 3/16. And come back to B and add 3/16. At this point, square a line up from your throat radius D to E is 8 inches in distance. Now bisect B and D. You have now found F and G. F and G, by the way, is halfway through the fitting. And we know that this fitting is dropping 4 inches. It is flat on bottom, but the top cheek is going down 4 inches. Therefore, halfway through the fitting, there's a 2-inch drop. The cheek is 8 inches, and the width at this point is 6, and on the other end was 10. So now I'm going to go ahead and fabricate my true length triangle. As I said earlier, we're going from 6 to 10. Therefore, we need to figure out what the half drop is and the full drop. And in this case, the half drop will be 2 inches and the full drop will be 4 inches. Now with your dividers set from A to F, strike an arc vertically on your true length triangle. And this point is now AF. We're going to do the same with BF. and it so happens to be at the same spot. And chances are, if you did your drawing properly, DF and EF will be the same also. As you can see, they are the same. This is only because the piece is square. It's 8 inches on both ends of the cheek. Now with your divider set from B to G, do the same thing. Take that measurement line and bring it up vertically on your true length triangle. And do the same thing with GD. The last one is going to be from BD. Same thing. Bring it up vertically on your true length triangle. BD. So let's start fabricating the top cheek. So as you can see to my far right, I have point A, and then I measured off 8 inches to establish point B. Once you have A and B 8 inches apart, we're going to try to locate point F. Now point F is halfway through the fitting, hence setting your dividers to the half drop. So with your dividers set to half drop and AF, BF and AF over the same half drops, you have now located point F. Now that you have F, let's find D. Again, from F to D is over the last half drop. So it's over 2 inches. F towards D. Now we're going to use BD, but this one is going to be over a full drop. So set your dividers at BD over full drop, which is 4 inches. And that's your true length. This is now D. From D to E is 8 inches. It is a true length. So set your dividers to 8 inches. Use D as your center point and strike an arc towards E. F to E is a half drop. let's go try find the throat G. I will be using B to G, which is over a half drop, and D to G, which is the other half drop. Where they meet, this is point G. The next thing to do is to connect the DGB, or the throat radius. And we do this by bisecting B to G and GD. I will draw both bisectors until they intersect. And where they intersect is where I will be swinging a radius to connect D, G, and B. This is my throat radius. Set your dividers to either D, G, or B, and swing your arc to connect all 3 points. I will now add 3/16 to this for fabrication. Now we're going to do the same thing for the heel. We're going to bisect A to F and F to E. We will draw both bisector lines until they intersect. This now becomes your heel radius point. Swing through EFA and add 3/16 for fabrication, and you're almost done your cheek. So now you can see that I've added dotted lines. These are for kinking up or down. So now that I've quickly cut I will finish cutting my radius curves. Okay, now that the two patterns are cut, you can see that the throat radius is 6 inches and the cheek is 8. This one here, you can see that the developed pattern is not 90 degrees. That's because it's dropping. So now let's go and form the edges. Once you have formed the edges, we are ready to make the throat and heel. I have chosen to use a Pee-wee tape for this. The heel measurement is going to be 22 1/16. And the throat measurement (9 1/4). And you will notice that when you take these measurements, they come off the flat cheek. So I've cut 12 inches wide because my fitting is 10 inches and I needed to add for the Pittsburgh lock. This is my heel and the smaller one is the throat. Because it's flat on bottom, my Pittsburgh lock is going to be straight on one side. And it's going to be going from 10 to 6. So one end will be 10 inches wide. And on this end, 6 inches. Connect both of those points and add 1 inch for your lock. And this will be the pattern for your heel. Now let's do the same thing for the throat. The throat is going to look exactly like that, but shorter. So you can see we get 6 and 10 on the other end. Ten. Six. Add your 1 inch. And you are ready to shear them. Again, I'm using a marker only to explain what measurements are what, but I typically try to avoid using a marker on my fittings. So now that you've cut them and you ran them through the Pittsburgh lock machine, you are ready to roll them. And once they are rolled, you are ready to complete your fitting by assembling it. Pay attention to which cheek goes on which side of your heel or throat. These fittings can be somewhat stubborn to put together at times, depending on the size and the amount of drop. I hope you were able to enjoy watching me fabricate one of these elbows. But if you really want to see the step-by-step, you might want to watch my other video on layout of one of these drop cheek elbows. In the trade, we refer to these elbows as flat on bottom, it can be top down 4 inches, or even top up 4 inches with the arrow going the other way.